Hello, hello. How you all going? I hope you're having a fantastic day. Welcome to the Africa Next Door. And today I wanted to talk about, one of the biggest, main form of entertainment that we sort of had when we were kids or when I was a kid. And this is sort of stuff that we had that was happening back in the refugee camp. You know how like most of us have like we watch a lot of movies and we have like celebrities like for example if like people have Batman, Superman, Iron Man, superheroes and people like that are really held in that high regard because of how awesome they're on screen or how great the character is written. You know even in the refugee camp we sort of had similar things as well. There was no exception. We didn't. There wasn't an exception just because you're a refugee doesn't have heroes. We had heroes as well. And the thing is, what you learn from this episode is that these heroes weren't necessarily, people that you would call heroes per se. But to us, we thought that these guys were, they were like the real deal. These guys were like, like top notch. They weren't just the low level sort of stuff. These guys were something else, something special. And it's almost for a long time, we used to think that these guys were, you know, super powered individuals. But, what happened for me was when I finally came to Australia, I actually realized that these guys are just normal people acting. Now, yes, spoiler alert, these are movie actors. And I don't know if you'd feel the same way about these guys as kids, but for us, because, we lived in a place where there was a lack of information, it was hard to tell what is real and what is not. As a kid, I didn't know what was real and what was not. So stuff like horror movies for me, all that stuff were real. So, it's an easy way to get frightened because where I was from or where I'm from, a lot of the stuff we talked about, like stuff like witch doctor, voodoo, all that sort of stuff, they were real. So in my mind, all the stuff that I see in the movies, even though they think they're recreating it, I thought they were the real deal. So that perception change was a huge thing for me, especially when I came to Australia and realized that these were all movies that these guys were just movie actors acting. They weren't the real deal. So I wanted to do to share with you guys a few of these people, these individuals that I thought were like the big top notch superheroes of the refugee boy. So basically, our list starts off with Jackie Chan. I'm sure you all know Jackie Chan. Everyone knows Jackie Chan. Everyone loves Jackie Chan, and everyone likes him because he's a humble guy. I've watched his interviews. He's a really good dude. He's funny. He tells some pretty good jokes, and for us, we knew him as a kung fu master. Now, kung fu master. I mean, this guy can fight many people at once. This guy was built with specialty, and as all kids do, you see something on a television. What do? You want to try it yourself, of course. So we had a lot of moments where as kids we used to actually fight each other, like Jackie Chan would in the movies. We tried it all. And there was an incident that sort of keeps coming up every time I think about Jackie Chan is that there was this, I had these friends of mine where we were just chilling, having a good time. And he said, you know what, let's do Kung Fu right now. And we were nervous because, I was like, nah, I don't want to do Kung Fu, man. That stuff hurts, because we have seen it on TV. I don't want to get hurt. I've seen it on the cinema. And I'm really happy not to do it because I don't get hurt. And plus, one thing in Africa or one thing with African parents is that if you get hurt while you're playing and you cry, they hit you even more, beating you up and saying, why did you cry? So I didn't want to cry more that day. So, I said no. But anyways, they decided to, go on with it. So one guy pretended to be Jackie Chan and the other guys pretended to be the bad guys, as young boys would do. So from there, they started the fighting and the punching started, the punching each other, beating each other up. It goes off, man. Like, and it was they would even do the action like, like the whole thing, the cobra stance, all that sort of stuff. And I was like, well, this is for me for a kid, that was fantastic. And we loved Jackie. We watched him in movies. I think a lot of his movies was the Drunken Fist one. That was one we watched a lot of. We loved that one, Drunken Master. We even did, the whole Drunken Master style. Dude, we thought Jackie Chan was like a god, man. He was a powerful man. We thought he was a superhero. He had superpowers. All these fighting techniques weren't just something that he trained with. This guy was a machine. He was a robot. And Jackie Chan was very special for us. The second person that was, that really did this sort of stuff to us was Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah, we actually had a special name for him. We call him John Commando. I'm sure if anyone was in the refugee at the time would know what we're talking about. John Commando, and the movie we watched was Predator. I'm sure we all know that movie very well. It was such a fantastic movie to watch. But the Predator is a great movie, and I definitely recommend it. A great hit. But again, we as kids didn't think this was a movie. We thought this was real, huh? We thought there was really these things, these alien things out there going around hunting human beings. And I was like, man, wherever this guy's from, America must be a very scary place. You guys have these predators running around. Um, and from there, because when we watched, Arnold, or Arnie, should I say, we always saw that he was very resilient. So he was a guy that couldn't get killed, man. Like, the guy just never dies. But of course, this was before we knew anything about main actors, that main characters, or the main protagonists that therefore they usually don't die. We didn't know that at the time, so we thought he was a machine. The guy couldn't be killed. He was fighting monsters. He was born, built to take on anything, and it was fascinating. It was fascinating for us. And we really thought Arnie was a machine that, especially watching Terminator, that really sort of sealed it in for us. Like, oh my goodness, this guy's a machine. Like, look at him. We were right about him. But of course, at the time, none of us believed that this was all acting. We thought this was real, because we didn't know any stuff about the green screen, all that sort of stuff. We didn't know any of that sort of stuff. So we thought all this was real. Another guy was Rambo. Ooh, Rambo. Oh, every Kakuma refugee boy knows Rambo. Rambo, man. Rambo is the real deal, man. Rambo was the kind of guy that was hunting, man. He was hunting. He hunted in the jungles, man. We all want to be like Rambo, man. Hunt like a snake in the shadows, man. The way he beat the snake in that movie, in one of his movies where he caught the snake in the jungle, we were like, oh my gosh, Rambo's busted, man. Rambo is a machine, man. He's got here. He's super powered individual. He's gonna change the world, man. These guys just don't die, and we always thought soldiers were the strongest, because of these men. But the thing was, that all changed, That all changed when I came to Australia, because the first thing we came here was first couple of months we had the VHS, the VCR or whatever, and they gave us a bunch of these tapes, and one of them was the Terminator. I know, right? Terminator, great movie. We put it on, and it was amazing. I was like, I looked at it, I was like, oh, okay. So at the time, I still thought it was real and stuff. So I would tell my friends, oh my God, you see, the Terminator is real good. They were like, nah, man, just acting. What are you talking about? I'm like, acting? How could this be acting? I was shocked because I thought this stuff was real. Now you're telling me that all this stuff was made up? They were all just making up stuff? What are you talking about? And for a long time, I thought these were all real stuff. And my reality was really changed at that time. And perception of these people started changing. But despite all that, they were still great actors, so I wasn't sad. I went up under actors. I was like, oh, it's okay. It's not a disappointment, but it's all good because where I grew up, we had that's all the only media, the only social, media related thing we ever saw. The only video we ever saw was this because no one had phones. No one could afford phones, and plus back then phones didn't really have those cool videos, YouTube or whatever. No one had the internet. That was really rare to see. Refugee camp, mate. Ain't nobody got internet here, so if you're looking, you ain't gonna find it. So it was the only access we had, and it made things very different. But to this day, every time I watch these movies, I just remember those first time. I love it because it showed that sometimes in life, if our perceptions maybe tested, maybe challenged, especially if we're used to a certain way of belief system for a long time, one day you'll get challenged, and then that's when things get really out of control because your mind's like, wait, what are you talking about? No, because you try to defend it because for a long time you believe this. And then once we finally realize the truth, it's almost like oh, okay, that makes sense. That's the reason why, Arnold Schwarzenegger gets shot in the movie many times and doesn't die because it's just acting. It's not actually real. He ain't no superhero per se because he has other superpowers, but it's just a man that's acting and he's a really good actor. Okay. So it changed the perceptions, and it really made me, realize a lot of things about life that, in a lot of moments as growing up, you're going to find that there's going to be a lot of times where as you deal with, People are going to challenge your beliefs from time to time. And the thing is, two things usually happen. Either you tell them to go away and leave you alone because you're not interested in that, or you actually go and think about it for a long time and then make necessary adjustments to your belief system to I guess sort of accompany the new information that you've sort of received. But it's not a bad thing. As I always say, being challenged is a good thing, because when you're challenged and it gets closer to the core version of you that you're meant to be, you get to know yourself more, deeper, in a deeper level, and you actually get to question why you actually believe what you believe. And if you have a solid answer for that, then you're fine. If you don't have a solid answer, then it means that you have to find a solid answer, or you have to be on that journey of still searching for that thing. So, anyways, that's how my perception got changed with, these three wonderful actors. And, I'm forever, forever, I guess forever changed. But I always remember those days. And my kids, the future kids of this generation will never know what that feels like, because it's easy for them to just access information online. Because back then, man, if you ask the question, whatever your aunties and uncles tell you, that's the truth. And that's what you take with you. So it's not like, I can go check it out and see if it's the truth or not. But these days, we've got Google. Google's your best friend. And we always go on there and just check all this information. So it was quite an experience. And yeah, so that's all, I have time for today. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. And remember, if you really, like listening to these sort of stories, please leave a review or a feedback, because I do really enjoy making these videos and these podcast episodes. And I hope that, that you've either found it funny, or you found it interesting in some ways, because sometimes these are some of the experiences I've had, are things that I didn't think people might go through. Or if you've had a similar experience too with something, please share it with me, because I'd like to know how you sort of felt about that. So if that's you, feel free to share. Go on the africannextdoor.com and just share your review there, or you can go on the podcast platform you're on and leave a review, just so I can see that you're enjoying this sort of content. And once again, thank you for listening to the African Next Door. Don't forget to check out my Facebook page and Instagram, and I will see you next time. Have a great day, evening, afternoon, mate, wherever you are. Enjoy whatever's going on there, eh?